Here is a quick question. In our naive date picker, where does the state lives? When you select a date, where is it? It's everywhere. We have the global variables. And we need to fix this. If you have used Redux or Zustand, you know how the state manager patterns works. They all do the same thing. One object holds the state, and we are building the mini version of it. Same concept, simpler implementation. By the end, you will understand what those libraries actually do. Now let's create our state manager file. So I'll create state manager.js file, and we create our class for state manager. The constructor to initialize the values, it will take EventBus and initial state. By default it's empty object. Now before we define all the values we need, let's just add comments that what method we will add here, and we start with the constructor. First we will store our EventBus reference, so we'll need EventBus. Then we will need our state for the date picker complete, because the state is the heart of our date picker. And then we will add state, which we will store for previous state. Now why we will need previous state? To compare the value, if the new value is similar or not, only then we will re-render the date picker. Then let's define the methods that we need. We will need get state, now let's define what methods we need. We need get state. This will give us all the state values. So get all the state. Next we will need a get method to get a single value. Then we will need set state, it will update our entire state. And we will need set selected date, it will update only a single value, the particular date that user selects. And then we need set view, it will update our view when we click on month or year. And then we need navigate, will use this method when we click on next month, previous month, year change. And then we need open to open the date picker, close the date picker, toggle to toggle between open and close. We need go to today, so we can directly go to today's date. Then we will need clear, it will clear the selected date. And last we will need reset, to reset our complete state. Let's start with our first method, get state. It's here and it will return the state. This dot state. Okay, before this we need to define the state, but we have defined the get state, that is fine. You notice that we are using the spread operator here, we are not directly returning this dot state. The reason is that we don't want user to override our date picker state. So this is critical because we are just returning the copy of the state, not the actual state object. And this is called defensive programming, assuming that people will misuse our API. So we are protecting against that. Now let's define the state. First we need EventBus. So EventBus, then let's define the state. So for the state we'll say this dot state equals to it. This is an object, and inside it we will add view month, view year. The view month, this is the month that we see on the date picker. So initial value is whatever date we have, and we'll get a month from that. Then view year, we'll say new date, and we'll get full month, full year. Then we need selected date, and we'll initialize it with null because we don't want any value by default. And then we need is open for tracking if date picker is open or not. And here we will just spread out all the initial values. So this is our initial state, but if we want to initialize with some different value, we can just use the initial state object. So we'll say initial state, and it will override all those values that we just defined here. Okay, what is wrong with this? We define here, and it looks okay. Okay, wait a minute, let's just delete it. Okay, it's fine. Let's just say initial state. Yeah, it's working fine. It was the semicolon missing, so it's fine. Now we need the previous state. So for the previous state, let's just define it. It's equals to this dot state. So we'll just store the whatever value was there before we update the state. Now we have the get state, so we already declared this one. Let's go to the get method, and get method only gets the single value. So if you want to read just, let's say, view month or selected date, we can just call this method with the key name, and it will return that value. Next we have set state method, and this set state method will update our entire state. So we'll say set state, and it will take an parameter updates object. So it will contain all the update that we need, and it has 3 steps. First step is first update our previous state. So we'll say this dot previous state equals to state, and then we apply the update. So this dot state equals to whatever previous state we have, and then all the updates that we are passing to this set state method. And then we will emit an event based on updates key. So let's say I just want to have set selected date key update. So I just update set selected value here or view month here. So I can simply come here, and then we will say object dot keys updates, and for each key. Now here our previous state will come useful. So we'll check if this dot previous state of this particular key is not equals to this dot state of this key. So if both value are not equal, it means it is a new value. We should update it. Then we will say this dot EventBus dot emit. We will emit an event, and we'll give it a name like this state and whatever key value is. So we'll just say key here. So if we pass view month, it will be state view month as an event. The second parameter is an data, and data will pass value, and this is the this dot state of this key, and we have the previous value. We can say this dot state, this dot previous state of this key. So for each key we will just emit an event with the value the current value and the previous value, and finally we will emit one more event to just broadcast an event that something has changed. It's a general event. So we can say this dot EventBus dot emit, and we'll say state change. There was change in the state, so we are just emitting this normal event, and second is our data. We'll say here is the state, and for the previous, here is the this dot previous state, and changes, or these are the changes that was passed to update the state. So these are the changes. This is our set state method. Next, let's see, we have the set selected date. So set selected date, and it will take one thing, which is the date we want to update, and we'll say this dot set state, and we will pass object with the selected date equals to date. Then we will emit the event because the date is selected. We want to just emit this event, so anyone listening to this event will work. So we'll say EventBus dot emit, and we'll emit date select, and here is the date. Next we have set view. Now let's define the set view method here. So let's say set view. The set view take two parameter, month and year, because we need month and year to update the UI on the front end, because if we change the year, the month also changed before that particular year. We'll say if month is greater than 11, then it's a new year. We'll go and change month equals to 0, and we'll say year plus plus. Else if month is less than 0, it means we are in the previous year, and we'll update month equals to 11 and year minus minus. Then we can just say this dot set state will pass view month equals to month and view year equals to year. And finally we will emit an event, so we can just inform all the listeners. So this dot event bus dot emit will say view change, and here is the data, month and year. Now let's go to the navigate method. It takes month offset value, default it is 0. Second, it takes year offset value, which is default 0, and here we'll define new month, because this is a new month based on the offset. We'll say this dot state dot view month plus month offset, and for new year we'll say this dot state dot view year plus year offset, and then we will call the set view. So set view can update the view of our date picker. We'll say new month and new year. So when we call this method, it will just check the current value at the offset and pass that value to the set view. So set view can calculate and update our date picker, and it will emit this event. Next we have open method. So this open method is simple. When we click some button or the input to open the date picker, we will use this one. So first we need to check if this dot state dot is open is not open, it is false. Then we'll say this dot set state, and we'll set is open to true. Then we will emit an event, EventBus dot emit, EventBus dot emit, and we will emit event picker open. So we have just opened the picker. This is the event. Next we have the close method to close the picker. We'll say close if this dot state dot is open means it is true. Then we'll update the value, this dot set state is open to false, so we can close it, and we'll emit the event this dot event bus dot emit. We'll say picker close. Now let's have a toggle method to toggle between open and close. So we'll say toggle, and if this dot state dot is open, if it is open, let's call the close method. Else we can call open method. It will be this dot open and this dot close. Next we have go to today. So we can directly go to the today's date. We'll say const today, new date. And then we can say this dot set view, and view expect 2 parameter. So today dot get month, and today dot get full year. Then we will also emit the event this dot we don't need the event, it just set view will emit the event that view has changed, and we'll call the this dot set selected date, because we are selecting a new date, so we'll say this is the date we selected. Next we have the clear method. This clear method, it will clear the selected date. So if we clear the selected date, calendar have no value selected and user can select any value. So we'll say set selected date to null, and we'll say this dot event bus dot emit an event date clear. Next we have the reset method. This reset method is helpful to reset all the state for date picker. We'll say reset, and it expect initial state. So if we want to reset with some specific data, we can just pass that. And first we need the default state. Our default state is view month new date dot get month. And then we need view year new date dot get full year and selected date. We'll set it null because this is our the default value, and is open is false, and then we can override with all the initial values if we want to just override with these values. And then before we update our original state, let's just update the previous state. So we have all the values for comparison state, and finally we'll say this dot state equals to default state, and then we can just emit an event. So EventBus dot emit, we'll say state reset, and the data is here state dot this dot get state. Okay, so our state manager is ready. We just have to export it from here. So export default state manager, and our state manager is ready. We have our event bus ready, we have a state manager ready. In next episode, we are going to do a small but powerful improvement. Right now, if you see, our event names are hard coded. We are going to create a new file where we will centralize all our events name to prevent the typo, and we will have the autocomplete as well. I see you in next episode.